Welcome everyone to Ugne and Nancy's WBII member interview. Today we are pleased to welcome Audra White from Source of Yoga. Welcome, Audra.
Thank you.
Could you please introduce yourself and your business and then tell us about how you made an impact with one of your clients as a way of telling us a little bit more about how you work?
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, ladies. It's nice to be here. I'm really happy to take part in this community. It's not a new community to me, but when I moved to Holland and migrated here, my life took a different course. And now I'm coming back and having reinvented myself. I'm finding new community and a lot of new people that are doing the same thing that I'm doing right now on this phase of life. So it feels wonderful to have that 2.0 version and knowing that there is a community out there. Okay, that was a little bit of self-promotional plug for you guys and my
Thank you.
connection to be here. So I am teaching yoga. Specifically, I'm teaching restorative yoga and a bit of yin influenced yoga. I teach a lot of mindfulness and breath work and beginner's meditation. So really about focusing, quieting the mind. And this is important to me as I'm neurodivergent. I suffer from chronic depression. I was diagnosed at a young age. So for me, learning how to navigate depression, anxiety symptoms, hypersensitivity, neurodivergence, that's just been in nature of learning and understanding who I am. So I am now teaching yoga to a specific crowd, a crowd that is struggling from these symptoms of heavy overload or burnout. And by now, I think burnout is all a term we can relate to after having lived through everything that we've gone through together for these last 6 years. So we're feeling the world's weight on our shoulders, and I'm here to help release a little bit of that and embody it into a practice. Yeah. So I'm also teaching astrology through my teachings. Using the astrologist label is a bit difficult for me because I really like to front that I'm a yoga teacher. It feels more comfortable to use my body. And astrology is about using a creative practice of art and recognizing our blueprint in that. So within our natal charts, you have an enneagram, and that enneagram has specific parts that tell a story. The reason why astrology has influenced me is because I've been in therapy for 2 decades of my life, and even my therapists have said to me, "You've had enough therapy. Now it's time to go live your life and actually apply these things you've learned." So it's hard for me to accept that because I love therapy and I will continue to run back. So my therapists are like, "No, you're not coming back." I'm like, "Please, you know I have issues with abandonment. You have to accept me." But the good thing is that some of my best friends are also therapists. So I've built this support system and I've added astrology into helping to interpret our mental health and finding these patterns that we often repeat in our life cycles and making sense of that, but in a more creative process. So, yes, those are the things that I'm working on. And I'm also a writer and I'm writing a book. And this book is about how we can better use the internet, our devices, and reform social media and really transforming our habits around these things and gaining more self-awareness of why we are on social media and B, why we have the dependency that we do on the internet. I'm trying to throw it back to like 1980s a little bit, bring back the nostalgia of it. Yeah.
That sounds great. And wow, you really have a lot
Yeah.
going on around you, but it's beautiful to see how everything comes back to what you said, that weight on the shoulders and the life weight of the shoulders, especially we as women tend to carry it physically, like really physically, they're stiff in ourselves. And it's amazing really that you can incorporate all the different practices and also the look into the digital world and how it's influencing us every day actually, because who's not on social media these days. And yeah, Can you tell us about maybe a client of yours that that's what we're looking into? What was the impact? So how do they feel after receiving all the care that you put in your practices?
Yeah. So it's funny that you asked that because I was thinking of this the other day when I was looking to gather a testimony. So I had a lady come to me. She found me while I was guest teaching at a yoga retreat. That was a full day retreat there for other purposes. And I came in to just do a 1 hour yoga session. And the lady came up to me after class and she said, "Hi, you mentioned that you're an astrologer." And I said loosely, yes. And I was hoping that she was going to ask about something about the yoga, but she asked about the astrology and she wanted to have her chart read together in a synastry chart to look at her partner or former partner and hers synastry. And I said to her, "Okay, yes, here's my number. Let's talk about it." So we met. And then after I had a look at her chart and was able to plot some of the things around her chart, I said, "I'm not exactly sure why you want to look at this particular person because you've already told me he's your ex and you need to move on. The problem is that you're having trouble with letting go, and that letting go I see is right here and here and here in your chart, and those are the things that we should probably focus on for your session." So she came to me looking for one particular service, and I'm like, "That's not the service that I think that you should get. I think that you should be more open to receive this information that this, and this shows a total random stranger about what I'm seeing you repeat in life patterns." And then we had that session. And so that whole process took like a month. It wasn't just like a 30-minute call and one and done. Like I really take the time to get to know my clients on a more personal level, which is also why I don't take very many clients per year. And I tend to work like long term, up to 6 months, and then sometimes they come back in a year or 18 months. There's a frequency and a timeline there. So this client in particular, she walked away and she's like, "Thanks, I just didn't know that I had that in me in order to work through it and let that go." And I said, "Yeah, and I can also see from your chart, you're highly intuitive, and that means that you have these psychic downloads of knowing that your intuition is telling you the right thing." So I would question, why are you questioning your intuition if deep down inside you know? And she was like, "Yeah, okay, that resonates." And I kept thinking, then I went and visited her website and I'm like, this girl's better than I am. Like I should be taking services from her. And she is a tarot reader and she's doing intuitive coaching. And I'm like, why
Wow.
for coming to me? She knows everything. And so I said that at the end of our session. I'm like, I take it as a compliment that you want my advice and my resourced intellect, but you already know, and it's there. You just got to dig out that intellect because it's in your body. And so since I need to follow up with her, but since it's been, I've received a couple of messages and confirmation of like, yes, this happened, and my confidence, oh, I see it now, I can feel it. So that's a pretty positive story that just recently occurred, and I'm happy to share because it resonates with not only the client, but with other people as well, because we truly are just seeing ourselves in other people as a reflection. And that validity and reciprocity is so beautiful to receive.
It's really wow. I have goosebumps after hearing this because how often do we internally know things, but we really just even more often, I think, need someone external. So it's not a wonder that someone who knows about themselves as much is looking for someone like you to just help them reflect that light back. And
Yeah.
yeah, I loved what you said of why are you questioning your intuition? Can we just underline that question for everyone listening? Because I think, yeah, it often happens. That's beautiful, Audra. Thank you for sharing this story with us. And we can really see your passion through this story. So I think this leads us to our third question, Nancy, right?
Yes. So the last question for you is, do you have a dream or a fantasy of something you would like to do with your business, or have you already started with this dream?
Yeah. So back in 2020, when the world was kind of resetting, it felt like, and I was taking some major life decisions around career, job, family, parenting, all of the roles that we play, right? I had these series of dreams, and they were borderline psychotic to where I actually did seek mental health support for these and medication. And it wasn't nightmares, but they were definitely so prolific that there was a calling behind these dreams of putting yourself out there. And a lot of the times in dream state, I'm in like I'm flying. So whether I'm a bird or sometimes I'm a fairy, it just depends on where my mind goes that day and where my mind has been that day. And then I replay the events like from the bird's eye view. So while I was having these series of dreams, I kept hearing in the back of my head in the dream, just write the book, just write the book. So I decided, okay, I'm going to write the book. And for the longest that I've been alive, people have been telling me, you should write a memoir because my life is full of, well, it's filled with a series of unfortunate events that have all just pleasantly worked out in my favor. And I do want to share that story, but that memoir, nobody needs another trauma dump. We need things that we can learn from. And memoirs are fun to read, but but they really should tell a narrative that is a takeaway that serves to the collective, that gives back to the masses. So in choosing to write my memoir, I kept thinking at the time, what is the most powerful thing that I can share that helps the collective? And that to me, I'm a recovering addict. So I thought it's my addiction to devices, to my flippin' phone, to the internet, to Netflix, to subscribing to 48 platforms, to online shopping. And I just started listing all of these things. And I was way too like hyper and psychotic in order to process this. So I would just walk away from it and journal about it, talk about it in therapy, and the dreams continued. And then eventually the dreams stopped, and that was when I started a blog and started putting a lot of my work in long format. I was earlier using Meta, Instagram, and Facebook, and realized that I was oversharing and oversaturating people and actually feeding into the device dependency and keeping people by their phones just by sharing about my life, right? So I've gotten smarter about that, and I've applied this into action, and I'm currently using my blog to write from blog to book that I then hope to self-publish. And I do have a couple publishers that I'm working with and a couple of editors, but I haven't narrowed down my angel team yet, the final stages. And that's simply just based on lack of resources and money. But the time has been wonderful these last 6 years for me to be able to reinvent myself, go back to teaching yoga, which is what I did 2 decades ago, take all of the resources that I've learned in these 2 decades and apply that to the now, and how that applies then to the masses to spread a message of hope, of rejuvenation, and ultimately of transformation. So that's kind of how I'm making that dream come alive. It was based on a series of just a lot of crazy downloads that were happening in my subconscious. And I've always been a very powerful dreamer. So I've kept a dream journal since I was a child. And I wrote some of these notes down. And honestly, I wrote a lot of it down digitally in a voice dictation into my notes app. So the book is here. It's across 2 phones, right? And here it is. It's about dependency. So wish me luck, ladies, because it's hard to get out of my body and out of the computer and into a product.
Definitely wishing you luck with this. I was going to say that
Wow.
I was going to say this. You're the first person to answer that question with a literal dream.
Oh
This
yeah.
is more just like, the idea, but I love that that's actually you were having dreams about this.
We're looking forward to this book coming out, and it's really reading something written by a powerful dreamer. That's a high expectation you're setting for the future readers. But we're really looking forward to it. It really sounds amazing. And as I said before, I would like to all your questions, I concluded with a wow, and I like to conclude this question as well with another wow. Really, thank you so much, Audra, for joining us, for sharing your story with us, for sharing your dream with us, and for sharing also the process of downloading these dreams and getting them into the world and towards other audiences, right? Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.